Yo, what is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. And today, we got an absolute banger. We got the weekly SPL update. It's going to be a new thing I'm going to be doing every Friday at 12. I'm going to be giving you guys a look back at the previous week, predictions, how we did, how each game stood up, and how I think the meta is shaping out to be, or my opinion on the meta, kind of. And then we'll also be doing predictions for next week. It'll be doing that every week. And yeah, we'll just be highlighting some gods that I like, stuff like that. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you guys do, make sure you guys subscribe, like the video so I know you guys enjoy it, and we'll be jumping right in. So we'll be looking back at the predictions first off. 5 for 7, not too bad. We started off with a loss. The Levi's looked really slow out of the gates against the Warriors, and the Warriors just actually looked like really solid. I don't know if it was more of the Levi's having a slow week one or the Warriors just kind of being ready, but I think the Levi's kind of picked it up and they played a little bit better against the Titans. They actually ended up taking this game. So the Levi's were actually a part of both of my misses. They played bad this one. I think they played a lot worse than the Warriors, and then they played really good in this one, and they played a lot better than the Titans. The Titans looked a lot better than the Bolts. Scarabs got kind of dominated by the Dragons. Dragons looked a lot better. Same with the Valks. But the Valks actually had pretty decent chance through a couple of the games. Like I said, Levi's Titans. The Titans just kind of got smoked. The Levi's looked really good this game. Scarabs took a game off the Bolts, the only non-2-0 this week. Game 2. And then Dragons performed really well against the Kings, but I think it wasn't as bad of a blowout as it kind of like seemed to some people. I think the Kings made a lot of big misplays, but it wasn't a blowout by any means. We'll take a look at next week. We'll do our predictions for these, and then we'll jump in and we'll look at all the other games. Valks versus Bolts to start off the week. I think this is a really good statement game for the Valkyries to make, and I'm actually going to choose them. The Bolts have not looked very good so far. Last week, they played the Titans, and they kind of didn't look too good. They played the Scarabs, who I think are the weakest team, and they still didn't look too good. I think Baskin is still kind of getting used to the game, and I think the Valks played pretty well against the Kings. So I'm going to take the Valks over the Bolts in the game one. Kings versus the Scarabs. The Scarabs got a hard couple games wrapped together. I'm going to expect the Kings to win this one pretty handily. Valks versus Titans. Valks have the first game Friday and Saturday. I'm going to take the Titans, though. I think the Titans are still just a little bit too strong for the Valks to take over. I think the Valks are getting close to being into that more middle tier instead of the bottom tier, but I think still the Titans are just a little bit too good for them. And I think this should be our game of the week, the Dragons versus the Warriors. The Warriors looked really, really good game one, or week one, and the Dragons looked really, really good week one. Both of them are undefeated so far. Obviously, we're only week one in. I do expect the Dragons to win. I think the Dragons have a really good chance of going, what would it be, winless? No, not winless. Lossless? Winful? They have a really good chance to win out. That's all I'll say. They have a really good chance to win out in the phase 3 regular season. The playoffs, whole different animal, but in the regular season, I think they have a really good chance. Bolts versus Levi's. Which Levi's are we going to get? Are we going to get versus the Warriors, where they did not look very good, or are we going to see them versus the Titans, where they actually looked really good? I'm going to predict the Levi's. Even if they play poorly, I still think they have a pretty good chance against the Bolts. This will be a really good test game for the Levi's to see kind of where they are standing. Kings versus Warriors. I expect the Kings to win this one, but I think it'll be another really good game for the Warriors. The Warriors have a really tough week, but with 2 wins against the Dragons and the Kings, they easily slot themselves into the #1 power ranking spot. So I expect the Warriors to lose. I expect the Kings to win, but this could be a statement game for the Warriors. And then to end it off, we have the Titans and the Dragons. The Titans had a weird week one where they looked really good against the Bolts, which was made the Bolts looking a little bit not good. And then they looked really bad against the Levi's. I am going to take the Dragons because, like I said, I think they have a really good chance of being undefeated through this entire phase regular season. But the Titans can always play spoiler. They have a really talented team. So going in depth, looking at picks and bans kind of, and talking about a lot of the games specifically. Looking at this first game, it turned into a little bit of a blowout by the Warriors, and it's just because they have this healing comp centered around Yemoja, Guan Yu. If they get ahead, it's very hard to shut them down. Also, this weekend has just proved that one item like Fae Blessed brings Yemoja completely back into the meta and completely back into a dominant god. Maybe I underrated her a little bit, but she seems to be just dominating. Banned most games. When she's not banned, she's first picked, top, second pick. So either a nerf to Fae Blessed is going to happen or a nerf to Yemoja again. I expect a nerf to Fae Blessed and probably brings Yemoja down a little bit. Really good first pick by the Warriors. With how strong she is, she just is a very good first pick. Levi's responded to Isat Naja. I like this. The problem is they gave up Yemoja and then they couldn't go the Guan Yu. So not getting Guan, not getting Yemoja. This is now a very, very, very easy comp to execute versus not too hard, but a pretty hard god to execute. Oni's then went Morrigan, which I don't think it makes their comp completely good. Their comp turned into this weird half dive, half group, half backline comp. I guess that's like 1.5, but It was split into these really weird things where I think if they had a normal mage here, I think their comp would have been just a little bit better. They turned into this full dive with Yemoja, but they made it work really well. Rama's a really good dive character. Pele's a really good dive. Morgan's a really good dive. And I guess Guan is just so strong right now that he just works as a dive character. And then Neil kind of just plays whatever. And he was really good on Yemoja this game. Also, this set, the Levi's played 2 mages in duo lane, and I did not like how it looked. In game 1, ESET, it's a hard game to play ESET if you fall behind, and he fell behind early. He fell behind really far. We'll go like 15 minutes into the game. He's down 3 levels right here, 0-2 versus 0-1. And once you're at this spot where it's not even like this game is in a really strong standing for the Warriors, but the Warriors are up 4,000 gold while this is happening. So it's just, even though they seemed like they weren't in that strong of a spot, this Warriors team is just so strong. Looking at game 2, the Warriors banned away their own 2 first picks from last game, which was really smart. I think the Warriors just had a really good understanding of the meta starting off. I think they prowed Guan really well. They prowed Yemoja really well. Terra's a really good ban right now because of how Fabulous work and how her kit is just. The Levi's ended up going another Hunter mid. They put the Raijin in duo lane with a Fenrir, which is strange. Like, both of these Levi comps just seem very high execution. And even if you do execute, it's not like that great if it even helps out. Fenrir and Raijin aren't that great together in laning phase. Raijin's looking to just clear the wave. Fenrir wants to fight. But if they did get late game, their comp does kind of circle around a little bit and become a little bit better. It's more of a kill whoever is getting CC'd. If you pull beads on somebody, they should be dying. And then Kukulkan just wastes a lot of time. Saw an Axe out of Haddix and a Bluestone out of Nika. I do think that if Axe is built on Kukulkan will be pushed out of meta a little bit, especially with now the new Bluestone nerf. Bluestone gods, other than Arthur, I think are in a very weak spot. I think Axe gods who build Glad Shield, who build Manticore, who build just really tanky, and they're not really doing that much damage, and they just have a lot of CC, will be really strong. Or Guans, Horses, stuff like that. And then Guardians are going to be kind of rolling in the meta. I think this pick wasn't bad, but I don't think it looked great. The Axe kind of allowed him to bully early, but that's about it. This game was a little bit closer, but it seemed like the entire time that the Warriors were just going to win. Like, again, 4K gold lead, but it's even. 5-5 kills. The Raijin didn't look as bad this game as the ESET did, and I think it was just because he was able to farm and not get punished. But then the team fights rolled around, and honestly, the Warriors played their team fights really well. I think Dardes on the Morrigan is just something that you're going to need to ban away. He just always looks way too comfortable on it. He farms really well. Overall, also, Panatom didn't look great on the Naja. It was not necessarily missing abilities, but he just didn't look uber comfortable. And then you looked at Cuvo for it on the opposite side, and he was kind of dumpstering in all the games. But this was just seeming like a slow start for the Levi's, and I don't expect another game to be this bad. Also, the Warriors punished the Levi's at every bad play they make. So really good play by the Levi's, or by the Warriors, not the Levi's. So looking at the comps, we got bans on the Guan, bans on the Yemoja, very good bans. I think those 2 gods are very strong right now. Cab is always going to be a good ban. Morgan looked really good in the first set. So it's a good throwaway ban. ESET's been strong for a long time. And then Dodgy is just a super strong god as a counter pick. And you know Lasper's going to play it. So looking at it, Terra first pick, really strong first pick. She abuses a lot of the meta items right now. She's very hard to counter pick. She does her job and she does it really well. I like Terra as a first pick. Even if they go something like Cupid Ymir, it's not like you're in threat of dying unless you're misplaying really bad. And if you are worried about dying in that 2v2, you just buy beads. And then you're still going to be super useful. Terra's kit is kind of like Yemoja's in a way of her kit is so strong at a lot of points that if you go beads, your kit just makes up for you not having another relic. And then the Titans went Set, Vulcan. They put the Set in mid. They put the Vulcan at ADC. This Titans comp was really weird, but they had a really good opportunity to make their comp look good. The only thing I didn't like is the Vulcan. It doesn't live well as a solo backliner. It doesn't get off enough damage. It doesn't really get great damage onto the backline when he's getting dove. He was kind of just fodder. But maybe they just liked it as a counter pick into Cupid. Maybe they played it a lot last week and they were just confident that they could make it work. Overall, I didn't love the Vulcan. I didn't love the Vulcan a lot of times this entire weekend. I think it's been overpicked a lot. But they still ended up taking home the win. And I think it's just because you look at Disco, you look at Cupid. They're not gods that really live. So if they're getting dove by Kama, Thor, Set, they kind of just die. Ymir's not a god that really peels. The Bolts kind of have a really traditional comp. And the Titans have this full dive. If you're not safe or if you don't have an ability to kill us, you're going to die. And this isn't really an ability to kill. There's no instant CC other than Ymir Freeze or Disco Strife, but you'd have to have somebody with you to get like the madness off. So it's overall, I think the Titans comp just works really well into the Bolts comp, and I liked how they prioed their gods, other than Vulcan. But overall, I like this comp. So looking at game 2, Titans again, prioed the Terra, didn't play bad first game, so you might as well lock it in the second game. I liked it again. Their band stayed the same. Instead of the Bolts picking Cupid, they went Ymir Lance, which they picked the Lance last game, so they just higher priod one of their own picks. They didn't take away the set. They didn't take away the Vulcan, which is good. I don't think the Vulcan is very good, but I think the set is very strong in the meta. I think set will be something that we maybe see banned because I think it flexes into a bunch of roles really well. And if it gets ahead, it snowballs really well. And even if it's behind, it farms well. So again, Titans went triple assassin. They have a full dive comp. And then you have Hu Yi, Poseidon. They actually have better CC, better instant CC. So this actually gave them a lot better of a chance to fight back. And this ended up being like a 50-minute game or something like that. 43 minutes. It was actually just really, really strange that the Titans even ended up winning this game. If we just like pay attention to this end part, and you can actually kind of see what happens at the end of this. The Bolts actually probably should have won this game, but just watch this.
Go up looking for the initiation. There is a delete button on the Baron. Vin is just gone, and the Titans are looking to make the defense.
Baron Ven got absolutely one shot.
Is not going to be able to escape this one.
That's my exact thoughts. What? The Bolts ended up just losing this game. The Titans just marched out and ended the game. But the Bolts did look a lot better in this one, and I think Baskin actually had a really good Thor performance. They were playing well off as walls as a CC and as just like a Ymir wall where it just blocks where they can exit. Also with the Ymir wall. Probably Bolts should have been taking on this dub. Titans played a clean late game, got a nice team fight, took home the win. Good play by them. Looking at the comps of the Scarabs and the Dragons, we've got the Cupid. First picked by the Scarabs. I know they like to prio it. It's something that Stu likes playing. It's really strong right now. I don't think it's OP or anything, but I think it's strong. I don't know if it's a great first pick, especially with something like Hades up. This is the first game where we actually saw the Hades be picked. First game, first set this weekend that we actually saw it being prioed. So we got a Cupid into a Hades Pele. I know Scream doesn't like playing this Pele or picking it early. Well, he likes playing it, but he doesn't like picking it early. But he really, really likes this pick into the Cupid. This is actually the original reason that he picked the Pele was into the Cupid. And then he realized it was just strong anyway. King Arthur, Terra. Scary had a pretty good King Arthur game. Terra's really strong right now. I liked this. The only problem I have with the Scarabs comp is that it's very healing reliant. If they fall behind, anti-heal is built, they kind of just lose. Also, they're kind of forced into grouping, which is kind of what the Jade Dragons want. That's how Hades gets a lot of damage off, Pele gets a lot of damage off, Artemis gets big Tusky runarounds, and then Vulcan actually gets a lot of damage off that way also. And the Scarabs actually had a pretty decent early game this game. They didn't play terrible, but when you have a new teammate like that, it's a lot easier to play the early game than it is the mid game, where like calls are super important. They have to be quick. You have to be on the same page. The Scarabs actually overall, both of these games had a pretty good early game. And even in game 2, they had a really good mid game until that big throw on the right tier 2, which I'll show you guys. But overall, this, I mean, not a bad comp by the Scarabs. Really good comp by this Jade Dragons team. I think Hades needs to be something that's looked at to be banned. This is just looking at the second comps. We have a Naja first pick, which I think is a good first pick if like Guan is banned, if Emoja's banned, which are both banned. Emoja banned here, Guan banned here, Arthur also banned. Naja is a good first pick. I think it's not as proud as Hades, but I think they're worried about Naja being played by the Scarabs, and I don't think they were worried about Hades being played. This also gives the Dragons that flex potential when they pick the Scratless. This is his first game out of 2 that Scream had it this weekend. And honestly, it's just unbelievable being able to see somebody being able to play mid with Atlas. Atlas actually has a lot of strengths in mid lane. He's pretty safe. He farms decent, not great. But then when he gets to late game, he's got this big area damage, a lot of CC. And the Mirrored and proc on his ult makes him just do so much damage. So I like this Atlas pick actually in mid. If you can get it through the early game. The Scarabs picked the AMC, which is going to be put mid. Cupid is going to be played in ADC. Xingqian solo, Baron support, and Nem jungle. I think the biggest problem with the Scarabs comp is they don't have that instant CC that you need when you're playing with an AMC. Usually it's something you want like Khepri, you want like Sobek, where they're just in front of you and you can just kill them right away. Xingqian has decent CC, the knock up into root, but it's not instant. His ult, good CC, not instant. Baron, quick CC, nothing there. He's got his ult that slowly pulls you in and his 3 that roots you. Fine's going like this. I don't know who he's talking to, but somebody. And then I like this Charybdis pick. I don't think I've highlighted it or it's been played yet, but with Death's Toll, and then you upgrade it into the Death's Embrace late game, it basically allows Charybdis to solo objectives late game until actual EFG. So I do like this pick, and I do like this overall Jade comp. It makes it a lot easier to play when you just have this big area effect damage. But in this game, the Scarabs actually played a pretty solid game early. Mid-game, they played really well. They scaled even into the late game really well, winning a lot of fights. And then this tier 2 fight happened.
Cautiously around the tower.
If that's the damage we're going to see from Scream's poke, not incredibly impressive. Connects with Sam for Soccer for about 5% of his HP.
Scary D goes to the back, but doesn't find anybody.
This setup is just really weird. Scary blinks to the back line. Okay, That's it. So they're going to play for relics or they're going to be going for an all-in. Nice. Sam is at the back of the tower by the back camps and alt scream over the wall with no potential follow-up. Mike is diving. Yark doesn't have great CC onto him. No instant CC, like I said. Stuart and Brendan can get us off, or Stuart and Veronica can get off as much damage as they can, but then as soon as you try to overcommit to Mike, Alec is allowed to blink in. So now the Scarabs backliners are forced to play up. Their frontliners are trying to run away from the enemy's backliners, and they're just going to be sitting in the middle of the fight. This is kind of how the Dragons want this comp to, or this fight to go. And then Sam really did nothing in this fight other than alt scream. Scary dies, Yarkor dies, Brendan dies not too long, and Nem just kind of pushes down the middle. After that fight, the wind kind of went out of the Scarab sails. They kind of played a little bit worse. They played more reactionary to the Dragons. The Dragons ended up kind of just stomping the rest of the game. Played for this Phoenix, killed, ended the game. That's all she wrote. Scarabs, not too bad overall. First set, couple positive things to take away. Definitely things you can build on. Really obvious things that they need to build on, which is good. It's really bad when it's not obvious what you need to build on. So great for them. And the Dragons, great first game. And looking at the Valks and Kings comp, first I want to start with this Kings comp because we just talked about the AMC. AMC is just a lot stronger when you have this instant CC like Khepri. You have double shred into double damage, double ADC damage, and then this is a comp that the Kings really like to run where they have double ADC, pressure in mid lane, another auto attacker in dual lane, and then they have a guardian in solo that does good damage and good CC. And I actually like the start of this Valks comp. This is a really scrappy comp. I think Guan is fantastic right now, so I love this first pick. Lance is really good. The only thing is you give up a little bit of flex potential when you pick Lance and Guan, but could be worse. Nox is a really good support. I do think that they could have gone a better support here, but I think Nox, they like it into the Khepri pick. So overall, I don't mind the pick of Nox. I just think they could have gone something a little bit better elsewhere. And then this is kind of where the game exploded. Valks aren't down that much. They're down 6k. Fine. No EFG, no FG on the Kings, so they're going to go for this tier 2. Relics are fine. It was kind of weird seeing the Valks not really want to play super strong here. The way the Kings kind of macroed this end game was really, really good.
Whether or not you can find someone isolated enough that you're just lucky to turn into a 45.
Nice blink ult, good damage. They disengage, they get the tower. That's a good play. Good disengage damage by BNT. And this is where it starts really strong. They're pressure pushing down to this right, so somebody's got to defend this. And then FG is spawning. The Valks are barely leaving their own jungle. TP in, not a variety. And they just burn this. Double ADC just burning this. Nice, decent poke on the variety, but the problem is he gets 2'd by Khepri. He gets 2'd by Khepri, so he's going to be super tanky. And then this is where just kind of like the comp strength just happens. Aqua just gets CC'd and almost just one shot. And then Gamma gets CC'd and gets one shot. And then Kirmi gets CC'd. Doesn't really get one shot, but he does die eventually. They whittle him down. And then the game is just kind of over. Looking at the comps, the Valks end up not picking the Guan, which I think was a little weird. I don't know if they placed any of the blame on the Guan or if they just felt like the Nasha was a stronger pick. They go Naja. Kings go Terra, Vulcan. Again, I'm not a big Vulcan fan. I think Vulcan has been way too overproud. I think maybe people just wanted to play him, but I don't think he's top 2 pick worthy, top 3 pick worthy. I don't even think he's like mage, like top 3 mage worthy. So it was weird seeing him just proud so much, but I love Terra. Terra's a good pick. Now the Valks go Artemis, Yu Huang. I like Artemis as a pick, but I think it's better as a counter pick into gods like Cupid. Yu Huang is a strong mage, so I don't mind that pick. And then Erlang dominates the early game. Decent mid game if he's ahead. If he's behind, he's not very strong. And then late game, he actually is pretty strong late game. I think people underestimate how good he is late game. Turtlebog and Tier for the Kings rounds out their comp. They've got a really good dive comp, really good setup, really good peel, just an overall really good comp. And then you look at the Valks comp where it's mostly just full dive, kind of. Mulan is looking to dive and kill them before she gets killed. Naja's looking to dive, kill them before he gets killed. Artemis looks to play back. Yu Huang kind of looks to dive a little bit with his combo or play in a either-or type of situation, and then Ardio's an either-or situation. So this Valks comp has a lot of potential. It starts with the Valks trying to get some poke onto Variety. They use Nasha ult. Not bad. That's really good poke. Variety has no TP, so poke like that is very, very relevant. Gamma blinks in. Variety's beads are... or not his beads are forced, it's just his passive. Just OP tier passive. Wow, he takes a lot of damage there. He takes a lot of damage. He gets super low. Kirmi's getting super low too, and the only one low on the Kings is Variety. Variety heals up a little bit. They kill their dive. They kill Gamma. They kill Kirmi. Wowie dies. Benny's forced to play back. Aqua ends up dying too. Overall, it's just kind of what happens when you don't get a good fight off when you're down 8k or something like that. If the Valks maybe weren't down as much, I think they could have won this fight. But overall, I think they actually had a lot of positives from this game. I think they played really well. They matched up really well. A lot of fights they played well. Their biggest problem just kind of comes from the fact they don't farm as well as the Kings, and the Kings really know how to exploit that. Levi's versus Titans, game 1 of the Sunday set. We've got a dodgy first pick, which Panatom loves. I think Panatom's probably his best god is dodgy, so I like them putting Prio into this. You also have the Titans banning out Guan and Yamoja. They have Ymir, Huyi, Dodgy, King Arthur, Merlin. I think this comp just makes a lot more sense for the Levi's. I'm tired of the mages being stuck in duo. Give Zap a hunter, put a good mage in mid. Merlin's perfect. The Titans go Kumba, Rat, Chiron, Camelot, Nox. Well, let's see where they're going with this. Sometimes I think the Titans' biggest problem is they're just trying to outplay themselves. They have like this full dive comp, kind of. They have this full backline comp, kind of. Their comp doesn't really excel in anything. It excels in CC, but other than that, it doesn't really excel in anything else. I think this Kumba pick is also really bad now. I don't think Kumba's good in this meta. I think he loses laning phase. He doesn't give pressure. The combo with Nox, sure, but even then, first little fight of the game, a couple picks by the Levi's, a couple nice fights, gets them a 3-0 lead, and this Scorp is probably one of the biggest fights of the early game. Chiron ult is forced a little earlier. This is a 3v4. Paul's coming out of, or sorry, not Paul, Shinto's coming out of base. They actually get the Pyro, and they're still chasing forward with how much damage Aurora's taken. Nice wall by by Rangyu. A lot of damage getting put onto them in this fight. Even though Ronnie's taking damage, he's healing a lot too. That med is upgraded. The Sov is full Sov. So he's very, very tanky. They take down Ronnie. Gets a lot of damage off. But now this fight is just them rotating in. Haddix is still basically full health. Even though Tom is getting a little bit low, they're able to clean up a lot of damage. Cyclone is forced to rotate over, but he's just a level 11 Nox. Forced his beads out too. Next big fight in favor of the Titans to actually make this game a little bit closer. 5k lead for the Levi's. First off, they steal the Gold Fury. Aurora actually gets a big heal before it goes off. Still lives. And then their full dive comp is starting to come to fruition. They get a triple kill there. And Aurora, a little bit too far forward, gets froze and basically gets one shot. He's going to have to disengage from this fight. But Solo's actually getting a lot of damage off also. Tom goes to the backline, gets a kill. And just a huge fight by the Levi's. And they ended up winning off that too. So yeah. Going into game 2, Titans high prio this Terra again, which I've been liking a lot, and I like it also. Cabrakan actually led through. I think this is the first game where we actually get to see the Cabrakan. Vulcan, again, prio, don't know exactly why. Uncrippleable, OP now. Set Arthur response by the Titans. With how good Haddix played the Arthur, I'm glad they took it away. The only thing is I don't love this set. I don't think the Titans are playing great around this set mid. I think they're prioritizing it for not a great reason. Audio picked. Another cripple, and then Heim Erlang to finish off the comp. I like Tom on the Erlang a little bit more than I like him on the Naja. I don't think he looks too great on the Naja so far. Maybe he needs a few more games on it, but he looks a lot stronger on this Erlang and on the Dodgy like last game. So the Titans again have a kind of a full dive comp with Oleron kind of on his own. Terra can play both front to back, front or back, and then the rest of these three are just diving. Levi's have a really just overall clean comp where they have good dive, good peel, good damage, good CC. This Levi's comp just seems a lot easier to pull off. If they do fall behind, though, their comp could be a lot weaker. But if they stay even if they fall behind a teeny bit, they'll be fine. First big fight of the game, Ronnie walks up. They put a lot of abilities into him, and Shinto actually gets good damage off also. Panatom's actually in Blink Rage, so they actually get a 1-for-1 support for jungler, which is huge. But also Aurora can't really get away from this damage either, so they end up getting a 2-for-1. And then Cyclone, also put into a weird spot, takes a lot of damage, gets his ult forced. And a really good play by Zap there. Waits it out almost perfectly. Gets the beads. The ult is ending, so you get a few more autos off, and Panatom can end up dashing through to get the kill. Really, really good play by Zap there. Looks way better on Hunters than Mages. Don't put him on Mages anymore. And they end up getting the Gold Fury. Puts him in a like 4 or 5k gold lead. And a cool little play by the Titans here, actually being grouped. Zapman's the only one here. They have a wave. Lairs, Paul, Cyclone here. Back away a little bit. This is the thing that the Titans do really well, is they know how to like kind of bring you around the map to how they want to play. Even though they're on the back foot, it kind of seems like they're even in this game. They're down 6k, but it feels like they're not down that much. Wave is here, so Cyclone's going to be doing a lot of damage. Paul's going to be doing a lot of damage. They do get the FG, but they trade it for a tower. Not too bad for the Titans. And then another good play by the Titans here. They go back to the left Phoenix to pretend like they're grouping to get it again, and then they fast rotate over to this FG. Really, really good play by the Titans here. They end up getting the FG. Lars takes a lot of damage, but he ends up getting out. Biggest problem, Aurora caught out, but support for fire. You're taking that 100% of the time. But now this is where it becomes if it's worth or not. Emperor's Armor allows you to actually get these objectives. Not easy, but a little bit easier. They have a wave. Zap is coming. No Aurora for another 25 seconds.
See what it can do to Cyclone and SOT. That's half health away from
And Cyclone just dies. He has no Aegis up. Rongi takes a lot of damage, but he's not going to die. Zap ends up getting the kill. Good play by Zap. Look at how good he looks on the Heim, man. Why are we seeing the Zaijin? Why are we seeing the Z set? Left Phoenix Siege, middle Phoenix is down, right Phoenix is down. And left Phoenix is getting low. That Olo I mean, that Vulcan ult looks so slow when it's in an Olo ult. Really good juking by Solo there. Haddix gets into the backline. That's the word. Thanks, J-Mac. All towers down. Paul is getting a little low too. Triple for Solo. But they are still on the back foot. They have 40 seconds. They have left that they can end through. Instead of going for the end, they just push out every wave. Fire is up. Haddix is walking in. Shinto confirms it with the Vulcan. That's why he's so good, the Vulcan. But this is EFG. EFG Erlang. EFG Ardio. EFG Cabrakan. A 2 for 3. And their Titan is getting killed. And the Levi's end up winning off that. Scarabs and Bolts, both second sets of their weekend. Scarabs with the Ardio Prio. A little weird seeing Ardio pick so early. Bolts end up going Hades, Pele. Two really strong gods that I do like seeing a lot. Lance Morgan. I like this comp by the Scarabs a lot more. It makes a lot more sense. What does their comp want to do? It wants to dive. It's very easy. You get your lead and then you start diving. You look at the Bolt side of things. Hades, Pele, Freya, Atlas, Rat. Their comp does a lot of things very well. They have really good dive. They have decent safety, but I think their comp is just revolving around diving. And comps like these, where it's dive against dive, are really exciting to watch because it's basically whose dive dives better against a team that's also diving. I love it. It's great. Towards the end of this game, Ven gets his ult forced. But waiting in the jungle is Lasbra. Sneaky. One-shots Baronic. Baronic gets his beads forced. Dies. Scary super far forward. Left Phoenix goes down. Laz is in the air. Nice play by Laz here to just go into the back line so that only Scary and Sam can be hitting them. Scary, Sam both die. Stuart gets the return kill onto Laz. 1 for 3. Not worth. They end up losing game 1. Looking at game 2 between the Scarabs and the Bolts. Scarabs picking the Hades. I like to see it. Glad to see that they can play it. Who would have thought that their one game that Scarabs win this weekend on the Hades. Hades is super strong right now. Makes up for a lot of things. Nasha also picked Atlas, Merlin, Cupid. Nice, strong 5v5. I like that they're picking this Cupid lower. It's not being prowled by other teams, even if it is a little bit stronger. Bolt still liking the Freya. Pele for either Ven or Lasbra. Horus, Tyr, Thoth to end up the comp. Double magical backline, though. That's something that's really easy to build against. And if you don't get ahead as a Bolt, you're kind of just going to be playing into an unkillable dive. Beads Aegis forced on Ven. Ven is dead. Scary gets a nice ult off onto Bera. Bera's got no ult, no beads. Nice pick. Ronick lives also. Baskin dies also. 3 for 0 for the Scarabs. Really good team fight there. Kind of comes back to Ven positioning badly, but you get your kills when you get them. And after a good amount of back and forth, we're at a point where the Scarabs actually have a good amount of pressure on the map. Left Phoenix down, right Phoenix just respawned. Still have one more fire wave. Fire spawning. Scarabs, nice lead right now. And Scary just gets one shot getting picked. Jake actually takes way too much damage. Nice Aegis by Baronic, but he does end up getting killed too. You got a nice play there too. 2 for 3. Even after Scary gets picked. And Scarabs end up taking home this win. 36 minutes. It ends up being really close, but they do get the damage off. Game 3 between the Bolts and the Scarabs. Cabrakan first pick. Yamoja, Guan bans. Nice. Ymir has been seeing a lot of bans. Hades, a lot of bans. Like these. Dodgy also banned against Laz. Really good bans. Cabrakan, Arthur, Naja, Lance, Artemis, Baron top 3. I don't think I'm liking this Baron very much. I don't think they're getting much value out of it. Other teams aren't really prioing it either. And it doesn't seem like it's doing enough. Kama, Yu Wong, bottom 2 picked. And then Merlin, Charybdis. Baronic looked a lot better on the Merlin this game than he did a lot of the other games. Or last game than a lot of the other games. So I like seeing that pick again. And this is the fight that turned the game on its head. 1,500 gold lead for the Bolts. Bolts also secured Pyromancer. Ven's actually getting a lot of damage put onto him by Scary. Bera diving. Baskin diving. Lasbra diving. Get a lot of damage out of Yark. Kill Yark. Stu and Baronic also dying. 3 for 1. Sam's running away. Eventually, he does get caught by Lasbra. The Bolts got the fire. They got a 30 seconds on fire. Looking to siege left Phoenix. Level 20 Baskin. Able to walk up. A lot of damage getting put onto this Phoenix. Bear actually takes a lot of damage there, too. Bear's returning a lot of damage onto Sam, though, too. Sam gets his ult off. Ven's in the air. 3 for 0. And the Phoenix lives. And with Stu being dead, the Scarabs ended up just giving up Fire Giant. The Bolts have pushed all the waves up, getting ready to siege. And last siege, the Bolts played it really poorly. They took a lot of damage. Barra basically died before even getting a relic off or his ult. So expect him to play a little bit safer. 5-man grouped on left side.
Just create a little bit of space so that Barra can hit this bird.
Well, Bastion's creating a little bit of space, so is Lasbra. They're going deep.
One shot onto Baronic. Both his relics were up. Lasbra dies also. Nice little 1-for-1. Phoenix goes down. Get the kill onto Barra. But with everyone being so low, Bolts are able to just get out. Next team fight. Left Phoenix is still down. Fires respond. EFG in 20 seconds. A lot of poke being put onto Scary, Yarkor. Scary just gets one shot by Ven and by Laz. Nice pick. They don't even need EFG or FG, whatever now, because they have left Phoenix being down. Right Phoenix is pushed up all the way. And they ended up taking home the win. Killing the Titan there, too. And for your last game of the week, we have the Jade Dragons versus the Camelot Kings. Jade Dragons getting the first pick Yemoja. Love that pick. Love first picking Yemoja. Very hard to counter. Fabula she's OP with. Terra being the counter pick, which is one of Yemoja's worst matchups. Whoever gets ahead is just going to stomp the other one. Terra can't get through the walls, but she's also knock-up immune versus Yemoja 3. Yemoja gets rooted really easily by Terra. Can't go through her 3 when she's rooted. Also can get wall blocked by Terra's 2. Dodgy into Vulcan Terra. Fantastic pick here. Morgan, they're going to go double Dodgy into Terra Vulcan picks. Really, really good first 3 by the Jade Dragons. Kind of outmaneuvered the Kings a lot. Time, Loki Tier. Finish it off for the Kings. Kakol and Cupid. Honestly, this is just a big draft diff by the Jade Dragons. And most of the way through, it's kind of just been the Dragons just dominating the Kings. This is really big lead. 10k gold lead. They have the EFG. Scream's the only one that's really dying, which is fine. He enjoys it, I think. Scream gets a big ult off. Net's 1 health. And Net just gets 1 shot. Genetics also very low. BMT getting dove on the back line by Fine. The Dragons just killing the Titan. Stomp game 1 by the Dragons. Game 2, Kings early pick the Naja. I like the Naja pick. Hades is gone. Guan is actually open. Seems like Guan is undervalued a little bit by some teams and overvalued by others. Or valued higher by others, not overvalued, because I think he's very strong. Naja top pick, though. A Willix, Ymir, Artemis by the Jade Dragons. Really good picks into the Naja. Ymir and Khepri is a really 50-50. If you get ahead as Ymir, you stomp the Khepri. If you get ahead as Khepri, you stomp the Ymir. And then Ymir into Vulcan also. Like this, I feel like this Vulcan pick is just not good. Not good at all. Atlas Lance to end off the Jade Dragons comp. We get to see the Scratless in action again. Variety goes Tier. And then we have Netrioid on the Chiron. And just how the Kings do well. They're behind. They look for a big play. They get that big play. 2 picks. 1 on the Mike, 1 on the Fine. Pegon's here. This Fire Giant is really early. And the Kings aren't that tanky. Pegon gets a nice blink off. No damage basically returned to Pegon. He's still 2/3 health. A lot of damage getting put into the Kings here. Variety gets killed by Scream there too. Misses his dash. Scream gets a kill on the Net. And just like that. A little lead that the Kings started to get back. The Dragon shut down. 2 Phoenixes being down. Grouped up, getting rid of this Fire Giant. Good play by the Dragons. Dragons looked very, very good this week. And at the end of every week, I'm going to be highlighting a couple gods that I was either wrong about or I was right about, and other teams are picking them and they shouldn't be, or they should be picking them and they aren't. We're going to be talking about 2 of them. First off, Vulcan. I've already complained about him a little bit, but I think he's just getting proud a little bit too much. His damage is there, yes, but he's still just not as safe as a lot of other mages. His damage is not great either. His early game is fine, but not great either. I think he's getting proud way too much. I don't like seeing him pick top 3. He has a lot of counter picks in the top 3 also. Ymir, Naja's really good into him too. Like, there are so many picks that are just good into Vulcan, and I don't think he should be getting picked as much as he is. And then the second god we're going to talk about, Yemoja. I was wrong about Yemoja. She is a top 3 god in the game because of Fablest. She is very hard to win the early game against, and then into the late game, she's very hard to kill her team. She's very hard to kill herself too. Compassion makes it so she's just healing everyone, taking some of the damage, giving them shields, giving them heals. I expect a lot of Yemoja the rest of this phase. A lot of Hades too. Could give a little shout out to Hades too because he's getting picked a lot, banned a lot. Very, very strong. But if you guys like this little summary of the weekend, if you guys like what I'm doing, what do you think I should change? This is like my first time doing something like this, so I don't really know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I can talk about picks and bans a little bit more, a little bit less, watch the games a little bit more, give you bigger highlights, better highlights in the games. Either way, let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See you guys again next time. Peace.